What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about shocking things about British culture. Culture shock. We're talking about British culture shock when somebody who has not lived in Britain their entire life finally steps outside their comfort zone and travels to Britain. What are those things that stick out the most? This is a topic I can really relate to because, like many Americans, I'd say most Americans, I have never traveled outside the United States. I feel like that's such a strange thing to a lot of people in Britain and the UK because it seems like everyone in Britain is so well traveled and travels outside of their country and goes to Europe and has all these amazing adventures, and to us Americans we're like, whoa, Britain, what's going on there? But that's kind of my circumstance, so I can relate to this a lot. In this video here we're gonna watch, this woman is actually Australian, born and raised, grew up in Australia, traveled to Britain, and these are the culture shocks that stuck out to her the most. So I'm really interested to see what kind of weird, shocking things she's gonna talk about and has observed. So without any further ado, let's take a look.
So the first culture shock I found was that you need something called a TV license in the UK. I found any information on the topic quite great, so...
TV license? I can't even imagine what that means, like to start a TV station or something?
From my understanding is you pay for a license and then that gives you the right to stream TV in your home. I've also heard...
What? What did she say? Did she say what it sounded like she said? The words coming out of her mouth? You need a license to watch television? Like, basically everyone watches streaming these days, certainly in America. The idea that you'd need a license, what kind of crazy TV are you broadcasting over in Britain that you would need a license to do that into your home on your television? Am I understanding this correctly? I almost feel like I'm not.
It's for the BBC to not have to rely on advertising, which I do, like, personally agree with. I think that's a good idea.
Huh. I'm getting pulled in so many directions very quickly. So the BBC does not have to run adverts or advertisements. They charge you like a license, a fee. Okay, that is a lot better than I originally thought. I was like, what is going on here? This sounds crazy? But it's not that crazy. It's just simple old American me trying to grasp these concepts. These exotic concepts from outside America. Okay, I actually don't mind that. Kind of like what she's saying. You pay a one-time fee, you don't have advertisements. It's kind of like buying premium streaming in a way, kind of.
But then also you still need it even if you don't watch the BBC or if you only have a TV for, you know, Netflix or an Xbox. So okay. I'm still a bit in the grave at that. So if you have any clarity, feel free to tell me.
Okay, so you have to buy the TV what a funny sentiment. A TV license. It's like a driver's license. Do you have to take a test to prove you're responsible enough to watch TV? You have to pay it even if you don't watch the BBC. I get it. I don't know what I think of it, but I get it. Okay.
But it is about £100 a year, so it is not the cheapest.
Wow.
We don't have TV license in Australia, we've just got free to air. That said, the TV here is a lot better. What you would have...
Right, you get, and it's British TV, which is like funny and very cool and probably a lot more to it than even I realize. Okay, £100 a year. That's not cheap, that's not nothing.
Have on your daytime TV is our prime time. Number 2 is politeness. Now I think everyone knows that the UK is known for being really polite.
Polite, this would be such a culture shock for Americans. That's so sad. I'm laughing because of how tragic and true and sad it is. Like, America, people are nice enough, but from what I understand, like, our default would be borderline rude to a lot of other countries. So I'd love to firsthand experience how much more polite life is in Britain? Like, would it really stick out as that different? Are people, on average, just that much more polite? I'm willing to say yes, because the American baseline is just like, don't do anything, don't offend me, don't do anything to me, I'm not going to do anything to you, let's just go about our day and, like, not get in a fight.
However, it's next level. I love it. I'm generally a pretty considerate person, so like
Next level.
It's kind of what I've come to expect because that's how I, treat others how you want to be treated.
Right.
But it's next level. So people on the train like will help you out. I was sitting on a bus and I was just on my phone in my own little world, and the bus had terminated, so it was actually my stop to get off. But I was like a million miles away.
Oh.
And someone literally came up and was like, "Hey, like you got to get off." And then I was also crossing the road, and this woman.
Okay. That's an interesting example. I guess in the United States, you'd have a 50-50 shot of someone coming up to you and saying, excuse me, I'm sorry, but you have to get off. And then the other half of the time, they'd be like, hey, get off already, we're done.
Was jaywalking, and she just walked when it was red, and this bike rider was riding, and he almost hit her. And the way the conversation went was that the woman walked out, guy almost hits her, turns to her, and he's like, oh, if you don't mind, would you just not walk when it's red, please? Thanks. And I was like, what? You just don't...
Wow, okay. I'm loving that she's giving, like, these examples, because I feel like if I experienced this, I would also feel like, where am I right now? Kind of feeling. Like, that is, like she said, next level politeness. People, especially when we're talking about almost running into someone, Americans are especially hostile, I think, when they... how do I say this? When they encounter someone who they think is ignorant, or because Americans just love to be like, don't you know you shouldn't? You need to be watching where you're going. You shouldn't be in the road, you moron. Like, they'll just jump on that. And I gotta say, also, a little side note, I think this is much more true in American cities. In American, like, small towns, small communities, it's totally toned down. Like, it's when you're in friendly little communities in America, it's not like everyone is mean or anything. I think people are quite sweet and nice. I have lived in lots of smaller towns, smaller cities in the United States, and there's tons of super nice people, but, again, it's kind of an average. Our super nice is probably like the British kind of nice.
Thanked her for jaywalking and making you almost crash. If that was Australia, I can tell you the C word would have been thrown out, the F-bomb would have been dropped.
Yeah.
It would have been maybe a biff, I don't know. It's like the way he was, can you not walk when it's red, please, thanks.
Yeah.
It's like so sweet.
That's so
my gosh,
nice.
this country. And obviously they love to queue, which I also appreciate a queue. You never have to worry about someone cutting in.
Oh, yes, the queuing. I've heard all about the British queuing. It's its own act of nature. It's this phenomenon of polite, orderly queuing. I cannot even imagine what that's like.
On the train, on the tube, they wait to the side for people to get off before getting on.
Wow.
Which sometimes happens in Australia, other times not. But I've been to other countries where it's just like a push to get on, and you just like, too bad, dog eat dog. So
that is 100% what it's like in America. There's not that much public transportation in the United States to begin with, but again, in cities where there's underground metro stations and trains, there's no politeness, there's no order to it. It's survive.
It makes day-to-day life a lot nicer when people are just generally more considerate.
Yeah.
So this is a negative one.
Oh.
Number 3.
Oh.
This is not positive. They don't have chicken salt here. Now, this can...
What? They don't have what? What is the word? What is this, some Australian thing? What are we talking about?
They don't have chicken salt here.
Something in salt? Chicken salt? I can't understand it. There's no way she's saying chicken salt.
Now, this is going to make sense to nobody except Australians, so hopefully there's some Australians watching. But
okay, thank you. I'm so glad she's talking directly to me. This makes no sense to me. I don't know what we're talking about.
Chicken salt is a delicacy. It contains no chicken and it doesn't go on chicken, but it is salt. Chicken
she is saying chicken salt. I did hear correctly. We're talking about something called chicken salt.
Salt is like flavored salt that you put on chips, so like fries if you're American, so chips. And I thought, you know what? I was like, okay, Australia, England, they're not that different. They'll have like fish and chips are big in Australia, they're big here. This will translate. It's fine. I'll get my chicken salt fix.
Okay. I guarantee would be so many instances like this where there's some kind of food or snack or just common thing that's like everywhere in America. I don't know what the American equivalent to chicken salt would be, but then you leave the country, you live in Britain, and I'd be like, what? Where's my super sugar that I like to put on all my food? You guys don't know about the super sugar that we put on everything. All right, I'm just kidding. Or am I?
Haven't had chicken salt. I would like people to send me chicken salt. I need to get some Australians to mail me some, because I used to use it on everything. I'd put it on pumpkin, I'd put it on any vegetable
chicken
I could.
Salt.
It's tasty. Okay. It was just like I thought they would have, because chip culture is such a thing here, but no.
Huh.
I don't know where.
It sounds interesting. It's a flavoring, some kind of powder or flavoring you put on your fries or chips. I'm intrigued.
It got invented, but not here apparently, so I miss it. I miss it so much. One of our first nights here, we were sitting in our hotel room when we were staying in a hotel before we even had a place, and I was on the ground, and we had these like glass doors that you could open, like a French door, and we were just sitting there watching TV, and then it's the middle of the night, and this straight up fox, which is like bigger than my dog, like walks past the window, just looks at us, and then just runs off. And we were like,
a fox? Are foxes actually common in Britain? I feel like I've heard that there are foxes in London. I don't know if she's in London. I actually think she is. She does live in London. I can see it in her title there. Foxes are like a London thing. I forget why. Is that something to be like scared of, or are they just curious? Are they like raccoons, or how do they behave? That would kind of scare me, because it's like, it's not a wolf, but there ain't no foxes running by our windows out here.
I've never seen a fox before in my life, and I'm in the middle of one of the biggest cities in the world. Not a cartoon fox. It looked like that. It was like a street fox. Like it had seen some stuff, you know. Wow. It was rough. It was a rough fox. We don't have animals in the city, and they don't like. The most you're gonna get is like maybe a bush turkey, and then, or if you.
I love that she's Australian. Bush turkeys, chicken salt. Learning stuff about Australia too. Yeah, we don't have any creatures like this, like running around our cities, really.
You do get a kangaroo or something, like you have to be like in the country, like.
A kangaroo? We do have raccoons. I should say there are plenty of raccoons. Running around in the garbage and stuff.
You won't see an animal in the city. You barely even see like spiders, which I know people think, spiders everywhere. They're really not. You don't see wildlife at all. So it's like crazy to see like a wind in the willows type thing, like just in the middle of town. It's very cool. Something else I enjoy is that they say like New York is a melting pot of culture, but I've never been anywhere outside of London that has so many cultures all in one. Oh. You'll be walking down the street and then...
Wow, that is really nice, actually. Compared to a lot of other countries, I feel like America, especially like New York City, Los Angeles, is like, we call it a melting pot of cultures. It's diverse. America is probably not the most diverse country. Yeah, I think I can confidently say that. So it's actually kind of refreshing to hear that London, I guess this is specific to London, and it doesn't surprise me, is very diverse, just because it is like maybe, like one of the top most famous, most popular travel destinations. And not even traveling, I wager, I would bet a lot of people from around the world move to London because it is kind of like an economic hub, a business hub. Like there's not lots of reasons to actually live there for people that are from other countries and stuff.
And you'll hear some Arabic, some Turkish, some French. Wow. You might hear a British accent, might hear an Australian accent. Wow. Then it's straight back to German, Norwegian. You can
Oh, okay. That actually sounds way, way more diverse than like New York or anything. Or LA. And I guess it's because Britain and London, it's in Europe. That's the big variable here. It's in Europe, and the United States is we're kind of off. You know, it takes some effort to go from Europe and get to here, whereas there's lots of countries that have pretty simple, easy access to travel to London. So I think that explains pretty much that whole phenomenon and why it sounds like it's much more diverse than even our most diverse cities and places.
You'll be in one spot in a pub and each table around you will be a different language. And I love linguistics. Like, I don't speak any other languages. That's something I want to do while I'm in London. That's one of my bucket lists. But it's just so cool to be exposed to so many different cultures and languages.
Yeah.
In Australia, we only really have a large Vietnamese from the war population coming over, and some Chinese coming down because it's not very far. But other than and maybe a Kiwi, but they're the same but different.
Yeah, talk about thinking about places that are off on their own, hard to get to. Australia. I've never even thought about that.
So we really aren't exposed to that much language and culture, so there's so much here, it's amazing. I've lost count of how many we're up to, but one of my cringier culture shocks is there's different words to different things, as we all know, and I've always had issues around underwear with that terminology. So firstly, when I put on my trousers, I call them pants, and they call pants like underwear. So I'm like, oh, what pants?
Wait. Do British people call pants underwear or trousers? Now I don't even know. I'm confused. I thought it was trousers. Now I don't know. Americans call them pants. I've always been a bit confused on this as well.
You're wearing, I'm basically asking someone what underwear they're wearing. That's happened a few times.
Okay, hold on.
I'm basically, and they call pants like underwear. So I'm like, oh, what pants are you wearing? I'm basically asking someone what underwear they're wearing.
Oh, pants are underwear? If I say to a British person, nice pants, I'm talking about your undergarments, your underwear? That's good to know.
That's happened a few times where I'm like in a store and I'm like, oh, where are the pants? And they'll be like, oh, pull me to the underwear section. I'm like,
Right.
no, I need like trousers or jeans or something.
Right.
So that's come up. Also, flip-flops, we call them thongs. I don't often talk to people about shoes, so it's not...
Thongs. Flip-flops are... This is an Australian thing. They call them thongs. We call them flip-flops in America, so this would not be an issue.
Too much of an issue, but in public I'll be talking to Daniel, who I know knows what I'm talking about, but to the observer it sounds like we're talking about G-string, so I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have worn a thong to Daniel. We get a lot of weird looks. This sounds really odd.
Yeah, Australians seem to have their own unique set of culture shocks, which is kind of fun to hear about another country's point of view, as well as thinking about from an American's point of view.
So I think I'm up to number 7.
Okay, you know what? This video actually goes on for quite a while, and we're only about halfway through. But I am very, very, very much enjoying it, so I think I'm gonna stop right here for now, not rush anything, and continue the rest of this in part 2. So if you've enjoyed this video so far, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in part 2 of this, or just more videos in general of me reacting to British culture, stuff about Britain I've never learned, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.